Right in the middle of southeast Alaska's Songus National Forest on Prince of Wales Island is the Bear's Den Lodge, located in Coffman Cove. Alaska's inland sea flows through Clarence Strait, literally footsteps from the lodge. Not only is this the part of the ocean that's some of the most scenic and beautiful water you'll ever see, it's also teeming with life. We got a lot of country to cover, so let's get started. The evergreen rainforest is inhabited by all sorts of critters, including black bear and black-tailed deer, and the sea is host to a variety of marine life, and most importantly, some of the best fishing in the world, just a short boat ride from the lodge. Perhaps the most sought-after fish are the salmon. There's 5 species finning the waters around Coffman Cove: king salmon, cohos, chums, sockeyes, and pink. Just let your line out and see what you catch. Cohos are known as silvers, and here you can see why. Shining like the metal itself. Split one of these beauties and then cook him up on the barbecue, and you'll see why they're considered tops in table fare. Fresh out of the ocean, they're hard to beat.
Man, that's a big enough one. Good job. Valley codfish.
Halibut up to 300 pounds prowl the water near the Bear's Den, and they can really put up a fight. Inch by inch, you battle them closer. Finally, they're close enough to the boat to harpoon.
A little bit more.
And then, it's off again, and there he goes with all the line you fought so hard to gain.
Oh, that's a huge fish.
At last, the fish is ready to gaff, and the battle ends. Who can blame a guy for taking a little break after a fight like that? But as a bonus, when you're fishing for salmon, it's not unusual to hook a rockfish or two. And now, if you want to talk some more good eating, just drop a couple of shrimp traps to the bottom and then dip some of these beauties into a bit of cocktail sauce. Sunstars or starfish have a bunch of legs, but not the eaten kind. Just toss them back and let your traps fill up with Dungeness crabs. Those are the legs you want. At the end of the fishing day, the work starts. Here's a bunch of salmon fillets in the raw to be vacuum packed and put in the freezer. Take them home with you, and every time you broil one of them up, you'll remember Alaska. There's also some sightseeing to do when you're not fighting fish. Take a stroll through the black woods of the deep forest and ponder those who lived there in years past. Both the Tlingit and the Haidas inhabited the island, and their clans established trails that are used to this very day. Just be sure to take a raincoat with you on your hike through the woods. It's called a rainforest for a good reason. But if you look real close, you can see evidence of the native people and their lives. Some erected totem poles that act as mute reminders of stories and tales long forgotten. Unfortunately, the totems can't be read like a book. To understand them, you have to know the story represented by the poles. Most of the totem poles are close to the ocean because that's where the carvers lived. You can find them, but you really have to look for them. A few are barely discernible, nearly overgrown with the spiky trunks of devil's club thorns and nearly covered with moss, reverting back to the earth they came from. Some of these old poles were carved over 100 years ago, and their stories are lost in time. Or for the really adventurous, there are the caves or karsts of Prince of Wales Island, holes that extend into the earth for hundreds of feet, merging with total darkness, where belly crawling takes the place of walking. Most of Prince of Wales Island wears a cover of cedar, hemlock, and spruce, interspersed with marsh and muskeg for miles and miles in all directions. Getting lost here is not hard. but getting unlost is. So keep your eyes open and your wits working, and it helps to stay on marked trails. You'll find beautiful lakes that beg you to launch a canoe and explore them. There are rivers teeming with fish and not a fisherman in sight. Well, not the human type, that is. Bears have quite a taste for salmon, but there's enough for all. Bald eagles share the day with you. And you may even run into a spruce grouse or two. Not considered the smartest of birds, they're called fool hens by some, but they are pretty. And you'll see black-tailed deer while roaming the country near the Bear's Den Lodge. Lots of deer. There's far more deer on Prince of Wales Island than people. You'll also see the year's new fawns, all big eyes and spots. Was that a wolf? The mink wants to know. Was it? It's the time of ripening, and there are blueberries, salmonberries, thimbleberries, and huckleberries in abundance. Daisies, foxglove, and countless other flowers add color to the scene, nature at its best. The forests blanket the island and give home to its wildlife, but it's the ocean, perhaps, that contains the real stars of Southeast Alaska, the whales. They swim, roll, and dive, often within a few feet of your boat. Occasionally, a pod will burst through the surface of the ocean while bubble feeding on schooling fish. That's always exciting. Alaska's here, waiting for you, and there's no better place to enjoy it than the Bear's Den Lodge in Coffman Cove. Goodbye.